All right, how's everybody doing tonight? I am here with John's Longbox doing our regular Wednesday comic book team up. I think it's episode number 4. We also have with us Aaron Jordan from Wolfsbane Comics. We're going to be talking about his book Pendragon. Now, first, before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to people in the chat. I see Nick Axe is here. He says first, Nick is a beautiful artist. You can see his stuff on Crom the Destroyer, my book. I think link for that is in the description, and link for Pendragon is in the description as well. Anybody looking to sign up for that book, which has not opened yet, so you have time to sign up early. Let's see who else we got here. Crom is in the chat. Vaz is here. We have who else? Let's see. Large Combo Pizza. Large Combo Pizza. I don't think I've seen you here before.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Now I'm hungry, though. Thank you for showing up.
Pedro is here. Michael is here. And Cartoons and Comic Studios we have. And Bethel Games is in the chat. I'm glad to see everybody here. Thank you very much for everybody for showing up. So I am going to give the floor to Aaron just for a minute to have him describe for us what Pendragon is about while I scroll down over his Indiegogo page.
All right. So Pendragon is basically I wouldn't say it's a retelling. It's a homage to the legends of King Arthur and Celtic mythology that I've and many others have grown to love. And basically, I didn't want to just retell the story. I wanted to try and build new life into it. Because when I was doing research a while back, I came to realize that there's a lot of similarities that bridge over from both Arthurian and Celtic mythos. And so let's see. The main aspect that I wanted to do was I was really inspired by Arthur's tale of the once and future king, the king that will come back and reunite Britain. But I don't know. I think we haven't really gotten a lot to do. We haven't really gotten a lot of material depicting that, and this is where Pendragon basically came from.
I'm just reading over here your statements here on. There's also a link, by the way, for the sign up page, which is a MailChimp sign up page, which has links both to the Indiegogo and the Kickstarter sign up and the Fund My Comic. I do believe you have there as well. And you say Pendragon is an adventure fantasy series inspired by classical fairy tales / folklore and great works like Berserk and Claymore. Now, here is a statement. I'm going to stop right there. Claymore is one of, I would say, my favorite manga and anime. A lot of people talk about Berserk, and they try to get Berserk into the conversation when they're creating. We talked to Irene from Fiendish just last week on John's channel, and she is very much someone who loves Berserk. And I said to her, what about Claymore? You ever see Claymore? And she said, no, it's not something I typically gravitate towards. Why? Just tell me why. What's your favorite part about Claymore and what you're trying to bring in from that series here?
Honestly, I think that a lot of the characterization for Claymore and the world building that they built with all the, all the female soldiers and whatnot who are also part, they also have their own mythos going on. I honestly, I watched the anime. I actually did like it. So let's see.
I like the art.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So,
who's the artist? I just can't read. My eyes are so bad.
Oh yeah, no problem. The artist, the line artist is Carly Gracia, and he's also the co-creator. He helps with a lot of the designs and how the characters should look. And he also helps me with some fact corrections with how the medieval side is supposed to look.
Oh, the way the armor designs and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. RJ, scroll down to that guy with the bow and arrow. That right I love. The excellent coloring too. Who's your colorist?
Oh yeah, David Schmeling.
Oh, this is excellent right here.
Yeah, he really nailed the painting style.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. Yeah, and this is not live yet.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, when are you going to launch?
Right now, I want to make sure the book is in a complete state before I launch it. Currently, we're at 21 inked pages, and Carly's really fast. He managed to get that done in like under 3 weeks.
Nice. That looks great.
Wow, that is fast, especially for this detailed of art, because this is amazing. I have to say, this is what is going to draw people to your campaign, is this extremely beautiful art. I know the same. I have great artists, and hopefully you, as a writer, for me anyways, you try to match the beauty of the art that you're putting into your book. And
RJ and I are both writers. We, I don't know if RJ could draw or not, but I can't. So I have to understand that people are going to be drawn in by the art, and hopefully they'll stay because of the story too,
Oh yeah.
So, but I got to say, I'm drawn in. This art looks outstanding.
Oh yeah. I think we all wanted to capture like that old medieval painted style. Like the one that was like around like I believe 14th or 13th century, maybe 15th. It's around that era.
We were just talking before we came on here in the live stream. We're talking about Celtic mythology. Here's your statement on the page. It says, the goal is to breathe new life into the legend of King Arthur and Celtic mythology while staying true to what inspired its creation. Now, a lot of people don't know that King Arthur is inspired by Celtic mythology, or is part of Celtic mythology. Where did you go to get your primary sources for the Celtic mythology? You said you did a lot of research for it. What myths besides the Arthurian myths did you delve into?
Well, what myths besides the Arthurian myths? So Pendragon for the Celtic side has a lot to do with the Tuatha De Danann, or otherwise known as the children of Danu, who was, I believe, like a mother goddess. If we're going to compare it to any other god, I'd say I'd compare it to Rhea or Gaia from Greek mythology.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so basically, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was just making an acknowledgement.
No, you're good. So basically, her lineage, So pretty much, Danu and her children have a really good legacy. It's pretty much comprised of a whole family of warriors who can also like build magic weapons and stuff like that. And I thought that the way the story goes is really tragic, but I want to save some of that for the book. But it pretty much inspired me to bridge that in along with the Arthurian lore to create this.
I was saying just again before we started here, I usually go back to Lady Gregory's giant tome of Irish mythology, but and then each of us, I'm sure, has our own pronunciation of things in our head, especially Celtic mythology. Again, names like that. I always say the Tuatha De Danann.
Part of entry Celtic mythology is that I find it hard to pronounce, and therefore I can't like personalize it. So
I understand. Yeah. Like for some of the names in here, I've been trying to use the original Welsh and Celtic pronunciations.
Wow.
So it believe me, that is really hard to
yeah. Sometimes I see Welsh writing and I'm like, you guys are putting me on. This isn't real.
Exactly.
I agree. Well, I mean, I know some Celtic, Irish Gaelic, but besides that, when I look at Welsh, I was like, no, I'm not even touching that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shoot, they don't even have vowels in some of the words. Like for Excalibur, it's a Callid folk or something like that, but there's no U in it.
Just so you know, I'm King Arthur. I'm worthy to wield the sword.
All hell.
Siege Perilous is here in the chat as well. That's a great person to have, Siege Perilous.
Yes, thank you for watching and coming over. Thanks, Siege. Yeah, like I said, I'm a big mythological freak. I'm a mythological freak. That didn't come out right. I'm a big freak of mythology. I love Greek mythology. And then Norse mythology. I think I can hold my own with anybody in conversation. But when it comes to Celtic mythology, as my grandmother spoke Gaelic, she was, big, she tried to teach us everything, but I just stumbled upon the pronunciations of the names, and it just held me back. And my best friend, his father was an archaeologist in the Aztecs, and he kept telling us all these Aztecs, but I couldn't pronounce the names. And I realized if I can't pronounce the names, I can't like internalize them and make a connection with these characters. So as an adult now, I'm making an effort to learn this kind of mythology. So this is right up my alley right now. I'm digging this. I'm really loving this art too.
Oh yeah, definitely. So like the one thing that I really love about Celtic mythology is I don't know. I'm kind of like a physical person. I grew up with a lot of anime and actual like action movies and stuff like that. So I like seeing people get really physical. And with Celtic mythology, a lot of these guys, they don't shoot magic bolts or anything like that. They just get down and dirty with a sword.
One of the things I always say on my channel about Celtic mythology is the way I find, anyways, Celtic stories work is very much akin to the mindset of someone stuck in a deep forest. If you look at Celtic art, it has to do with the knots and a lot of twists and bends in it. You think of the Book of Kells and how they have that kind of artwork in it. And I always find that the storytelling of Celtic mythology is very much like that, which is why it's so difficult for English people or English-minded people to actually read it, because it just goes off a branch and then another branch and then another branch, and it's not a straightforward story. It's very convoluted.
RJ, you just described my grandmother. She'll tell you a story, and she'll be like, so we were walking down the street, and we made a left turn, and then there was a fish over there. Blah, blah. You listen for 20 minutes, like, Nana, what are you talking about? And when and that's one of the things that held me back reading Celtic mythology, and it's like you said, it's very organic and twists and turns, like very naturalistic. Whereas Greek mythology is, more of a direct line of march.
Yeah.
Although, Aaron, I was going to ask you, are you don't want you to give away too much of the story, but at the same time, are you going to incorporate any of the Roman influences on the Arthurian myth as well?
See, I was trying to figure out how I could do that, because I don't know, that is a big aspect of Arthurian lore, legend, and stuff like that. Like, after all, didn't the Romans try to invade Britain? And I believe there's also the story where King Arthur somehow became an emperor of Rome.
Yeah, there's this Arthurian stories where he went to the moon. There's a lot of mythological Arthur's. Yeah, there's a lot of
the moon?
Later on, King Arthur became
a
medieval staple. Like I'm trying to think of like local storytellers will tell stories. So if you really look it up, you could find some crazy King Arthur stories. Now they're not like regarded as the La Morte Arthur, the official King Arthur stories, but there's just like Alexander the Great. There's stories of Alexander the Great going beneath the earth and battling monsters. They reach these like folklore types tales. But scholars know what they are. They're just people telling stories because King Arthur was a recognizable character that everybody in Europe knew. So, and they're fun to explore too. They're almost like comic books about King Arthur.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stories if you want to take a deep dive into King Arthur, going to fairy lands and things like that. But I'm interested in the King Arthur. I was about to say the true stories, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, my bad. So with Pendragon, we actually are trying to incorporate some of the fairy aspect to it, because as growing up as a kid, I read stuff like Hans Christian Andersen, Aesop's Fables, Grimm's Fairy Tales. and that is like my bread and butter. So I wanted to explore the aspects of Avalon, and not just Avalon, but the entirety of Otherworld itself. And I think I figured out a way to make it similar to what it was, which is basically like it existed on a physical and a metaphysical plane. Like people could go to Otherworld, but it was also like it was in our world, but it wasn't at the same time.
That is one of the greatest things I think about Celtic mythology. You hit the nail on the head there. I love that part of Celtic mythology. I have incorporated it a little bit into my Crom the Destroyer book, but the idea of other worlds and the fact that you could get to another world by going through a forest or through over a bridge or through a cave or something like that, that is a really interesting part of Celtic myth.
Oh yeah. There's actually a part in this book that that's a little like that too. And I think it's a really fantastical scene, and it happens like a little after the battle between Arthur and Mordred over here.
One of the things about the Undying Lands that I really like is the story. I always, I used to tell this on my YouTube channel, but the great thing about the Undying Lands is you'd probably love this, John. They say, nobody has any pride. Everybody is a stout warrior, and it doesn't rain, it rains beer.
Oh, that's nice.
There you go. Rains beer. There you go.
What kind of beer though?
Everybody's got beer goggles over there and beer muscle. I know Avalon is RJ. You're the scholar here. I know it translates to like land of the apples. I guess in England they don't have apples too much, so apples were like a luxury or a wondrous thing. Just like the golden apple that was in Spain is really just oranges, and here we are, the Greeks are fighting over oranges. It doesn't sound so cool to us as Americans. You're fighting over oranges, but I guess the Greeks, a golden apple or an orange was the coolest thing in the world. I guess the English thought apples were great. So they went to the otherworldly land of apple trees and everything.
I mean, the orange thing for me makes sense because I'm not sure if Greece had anything like that.
No, Greece didn't have much. It was a rough place. That's why you get those harsh people. That's one thing I think. That's one of my theories. The harsher the environment, the tougher and like the smarter the people. Because you have a Sicily, this land where the ground was so fertile that they used to say all you had to do was open up your mouth and the food would grow into your mouth. There's not too many great stories that come out of Sicily, but there's a lot of great stories that come out of like harsh places like Greece or Norway, India.
Nice.
I'm just going to give a little shout out to a couple people here in the chat. We got some conversation going on. Michael says, Greek mythology in a nutshell, Zeus was feeling horny. They have who else we got here? Fritz is here saying, I'm half Irish, but I really only know about, and this is how I pronounce it, Cuchulainn and Lou and the Ulster cycle. So Lou of the long hand.
I love Lou.
I couldn't pronounce those.
So great stories. Lou of the Long Hand is one of the inspirations again for Crom the Destroyer. I use a visual from an old 1800s manuscript, paintings basically. So like I said, what just tell me once again, where exactly were you drawing the visuals from? You're saying the story, but where the visuals were coming from? You said 15th century paintings or earlier?
Yeah, for the coloring work. But for paneling and the way the scene flows, I wanted to incorporate a bunch of old techniques from European comics that I've been reading lately. There's a few that I actually need to go back and remember because I'm bad at names. But yeah, I've been doing taking some parts of European comics, and I've been studying some manga as well because I think the way that manga depicts actions in their stories is really unique, and You know,
I do see a lot of European influence in this art. You know.
Oh yeah.
I really like this. Yeah. I didn't know.
I really love this panel right here where
the
you have
sword?
Arthur's sword coming off of the
Yeah,
panel
I was
because
just about to point that out. I love that.
that's one of the things about. Well, I'm working with Nick Axe, who's in the chat here, doing the second 2 chapters for Crom the Destroyer, and Mike Gustovich doing the art for Crom. And one of the things that I guess Jim O'Reilly and Mike Gustovich did is to take some of the weapons and do this exact thing with them, have them go outside the panel borders, which is a spectacular part of artistry in comic art that doesn't work with anything else, if you ask me.
Yeah, you have to do it. You have to do it sparsely, otherwise it loses its charm.
That's true.
Yeah,
I gotta agree with that.
Yeah, I'm reading the comments here. A lot of people are really digging your art. You know, you got yourself a treasure over here in this artist. And
Vaz has a question here. He says, Pendragon is a self-contained story, or will it continue into multiple volumes?
So, Pendragon right now is a it is planned to have like multiple volumes, but the way I tell stories, this is only the first issue at 76 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. For some reason, I try to cram in as much as I can with it still being, you know, like still having a good story. But I don't know. I just like long books. And I figured if I can have a long book and still do it, because I don't know, the way that I wanted it to be is have a certain amount of issues and then compile those into like a volume or a compendium.
Yeah, big old roach killing volume when you're done.
Exactly. Like I want that story arc to be in there.
So you do have a definite end then?
Oh yeah, I definitely have an end planned. It's gonna be so good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Pedro has a question too. He says, will there be dragons, monsters, and many races with different characteristics and histories?
Actually, yes. So I guess I can give this away. In the second book that I planned, we're actually going to be having one of the Knights of the Round Table called Bedivere. And from my understanding, he was a Roman general that decided to join King Arthur's side and stay in Britain. And he was known for having a lance that could slay giants. So there's definitely going to be a lot of fake creatures and whatnot there. And dragons, honestly, the dragon thing, I want to use it, but I don't want to overuse it, you know, because everyone uses dragons. So I'm planning on having it somewhere, maybe for a finale. Who knows? We'll see.
This picture I'm looking at right here, this is Arthur versus Mordred?
Yes.
Cool.
So tell me a little bit about Wolfsbane Comics. I don't know anything about Wolfsbane Comics. Did you create it? And is it just for this series of books, or is there other books going to come out from the comic company?
Oh, okay. So Wolfsbane Comics was originally created in, I'd say, 2020 to 2022. And we do have other books. Right now, we have 2 issues of this horror comic called Wolfsbane, and it's about it's pretty much a werewolf book that focuses on dealing with your trauma and you trying to use that in a meaningful way to better your life.
So this out already?
People around you. Oh yeah. 2 of the issues are out, but I am planning a 3rd issue that's pretty much a soft reboot, because I'm starting with a new artist and I'm trying to this was after I wrote Pendragon, and I finally figured out how I wanted to tell stories. So I felt it was only just to make sure I get that series right too.
Okay, so you're writing. That's pretty cool. You're writing a mythological, like a pseudo history mythological comic and a horror comic.
Yes.
Which one do you find more difficult?
Honestly, Pendragon, because it takes a lot of research to try to make sure everything is done justice, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have an idea for horror stories too, but I'm like kind of intimidated because I think it's all timing. You know, you really got to get the timing right for a good horror story. You know,
Oh,
build
exactly.
up that tension. You know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like that's been the main issue with the first two, with the like the first two books, trying to get that timing down just right. And I don't know. I think for me, I'm not really able to do it in 24 pages. So I don't know. I like making longer books.
That's yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I find like different. Like I won't even attempt comedy because I think comedy is 90% timing. So and there's nothing worse than bad comedy.
Oh yeah,
exactly. I'm right there with you, John. The reason why I had Don Chin write a story for me.
Yeah, there you go.
For the comedy, that's for Thomas Valley #2. It's a 22-page backup story, so it's gonna be on the backup. So yeah, I'm not one for comedy. But I wanted to just ask you a general question, Aaron. Where do you think there's so many werewolf books out right now, especially in the indie comics? Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think it's just like it goes back to the duality of man's inner nature. You have it's sort of like with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You have the self that you portray to the world that's upstanding and noble, and then you have your inner thoughts, your subconscious that pretty much just wants to let loose and be unrestrained from the moral confines of society.
Oh, so it's like your ego and superego then. I never thought of it that way.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think like when zombies are popular, it's a I think it's like the zeitgeist is about consumerism and and people are just being led through the nose through like media and I think werewolves are popular right now because I think people are about to get real pissed off. Like
really? What's going on?
Because werewolf, I think people have had enough with politics, and I don't want to derail this conversation, but I think like when vampires are popular, I think people are like, realize that like, I know, like they're being eaten alive, and and then zombie, like it's a cycle. Zombies, then we turn into vampires, and then when things turn into werewolves, I think as the Chinese would say, interesting times are about to happen. so everybody buckle in, grab your swords, be ready.
Yeah, we'll see. Shoot. You're not wrong though. There are a lot of werewolf books out there.
Yes.
One of the things we're talking about mythology here, one of the things that I tie into with Crom the Destroyer, I never thought of it this way, but there's characters in it, the Harpies, which I have in a lot of the art for Crom the Destroyer. But they're very much, there's also mythological characters called Arinyas, and they're very much like Harpies, but they're more vampire-like in the way that they present themselves. They have fangs and they drip, they drip venom from them, which basically in some stories just decimates land, all that kind of stuff. So honestly, I'm more attracted to the vampire mythos, the old vampire mythos, than anything else right now with the stories I'm writing, which is really interesting.
Could you pronounce the word again that you said? What were these monsters called?
Arinyas.
Okay. Okay.
As far as I can tell, my pronunciation of things is way off.
Is it what Siege Perilous just put in the chat right now?
Yes, he is. I'll put it up on the screen. It's correct.
I didn't know how to pronounce it. Arinyas. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've been pronouncing that wrong my whole life.
No, probably not. I've been pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, but I'm probably wrong.
Dang.
Beth, I'll ask a question. Will there be traditional Arthur mythos stories in Pendragon, like Gawain and Tristan?
Yeah, I believe so. When I was doing the research, I felt kind of bad because my story's kind of set in the modern day after the reign of Arthur Pendragon. So I figured like if this thing does kick off, I'd like to tell reimagined stories of the days of old. And there's this one story that I really want to write. It's like involves the death of Kay, and then that's gonna be pretty good if I ever manage to get to that. Okay. But I'd say like also in like I'd say about an issue, and like later on down the line when I'm doing all these issues, we're gonna be having flashbacks depicting like the old days, so we can fill the readers in on what happened and whatnot.
So that's cool. You'll be going back and forth through 2 different times. I love that. I love that. That is great.
Hey, to interrupt, I just want to say a shout out to Taz here, who's giving me a £5 super chat, which Taz is great for super chats. I want to thank you very much, Taz. He's over in England, if I do recall.
I will knight thee. You are now Sir Taz. There you go. Now I got to knight everybody who super chats.
Everybody in the chat is giving their pronunciation of the bad mythological pronunciation I gave.
That's how I always thought it was. That's why I was confused. Yeah, but I Aaron sounds better. That sounds more elegant.
I feel you. Yeah. I honestly can't spell, so.
That's one of the things, though. I actually know ancient Greek, but my teacher always told me, "Yeah, we don't know how they pronounced it, so just do your best you can."
So let me ask you, settle an argument: is it pronounced Cyclops or is it pronounced Kyclops?
Wait, what?
I was always taught that the ancient Greeks didn't pronounce the C with.
No, they didn't. They used K.
That's like a K.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I was going to argue with people, but then I backed down because that's why I talk to RJ. Always talk to the people, the smart people.
I feel you. So it's Cyclops.
Well, again, the Greeks they don't have any C's. There is no C in their alphabet. There's only kappa and they use that for soft K and hard K.
So
that's
the,
cool.
The goddess Ceres, as we say, like cereal, it's really Ceres.
Well, they had chai, but at the same time, that's a CH. So Cyclops, if I can remember the spelling for Cyclops, it probably starts with a chai. But at the same time, it really depends, because here's the thing. There are so many different kinds of pronunciations in Greece itself with all the different city-states. There's different kinds of Greek. There's Ionian, and which is probably the most recognized. And so again, my professor who taught me ancient Greek, who taught himself in Greece, he told me anyways that we really don't understand how they spoke. So just if you want to use modern Greek pronunciations, or just come up with what you think is best. So that's what I went with.
And then the linear B language, even older than that, nobody knows how to pronounce it, right?
Yeah, and Michael here has a good point. He says Heracles or Hercules.
Right. Yeah, it's Heracles, right? Is that the correct? Now I can't even talk English anymore.
Heracles, because for the Hera, you got to pronounce the Hera part because of the goddess Hera, right? So,
so does the word the suffix "cles" does that mean something like Heracles? Is that 2 words put together? What do they call that?
It is, but at the top of my head, I cannot think of what because
I don't think it's friend of Hera. It's got to mean like enemy or something, because Heracles.
No, because Hera actually blessed him, right, or something like that.
No,
I'm not familiar with it.
She tried to kill him when he was a baby.
Yeah, but I remember somebody I forgot where I got this from, but apparently
she poisoned him and killed him. She put poison in his clothes, and then when he put the clothes on, he
at the end where he died,
no, that was someone else
before he became a god.
Yeah. Vaz. I guess is this Greek font?
This is Greek font, yes.
You could read that, RJ?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's his that's the Greek for what I always pronounce as Arrhenius, but again, everybody else tells me that my Greek pronunciation is completely awful. I will tell you that right now.
I'll trust the guy that studied it rather than me and my friends who just play Dungeons and Dragons and think we know stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you then. Are you a tabletop role play game? Do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have this game that I play every other Tuesday, I believe. Dude, right now Wait, what?
You have a consistent role-playing group.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Cherish that, man. That is awesome.
Yeah. Nah, it's not awesome right now. Right now, my character is kind of getting choked out. I might have to switch to a new one. I'm at half health.
Oh, cool. Good for you, man. You know, as we get older, it's harder and harder to get adults to sit around and pretend to be wizards, you know.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what my character is too. but yeah, wizards so cool.
So were you influenced by you know, what do you play then? Let me ask you that.
I am a deep gnome wizard.
But this is Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder?
Oh no, it's not Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, so you're a character. So I take all of these mythological books, because, as you know, now you got me geeking out. I apologize, but
No, you're fine.
Yeah, all like RJ knows how much I love the old D&D stuff and Dragon magazine. Like that is like I can't pull it out of me. It's become part of me. You know, in my comic book writing, and you know, my friends playing role playing games. That Deities and Demigods really was the most influential book of my childhood. It got me into the Arthurian legends and Norse mythology and Greek mythology. I'll geek out about this, but I'm sorry, this is your hour to talk about your comic.
No, you're fine. Honestly, don't mind, man. I can talk about geek stuff all day.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I haven't even gotten that book yet.
Oh yeah, the second edition Deities and Demigods is one of the most influential books on my life. I made like a half-hour video about it on my channel. I should bring it out again and redo it.
Oh yeah,
I'm seeing a lot of comments over here that I don't want to repeat, but yes, Zeus and Hera had let's just say a unique relationship.
Just trying to think off the top of my head, John, that book, is it the compendium book or is it a separate book itself for the where you can actually ascend to godhood? Is that the one you're talking about for D&D?
Yeah, it has like the bluish cover with the you know, that serpent on, you know. I'll find it and I'll show you, but you know, it's the Dungeons and Dragons second edition Deities and Demigods.
All right. I always played Rangers or Paladins, usually Rangers. So, you know, I'm not really interested in becoming a demigod.
I didn't even know you could be one.
Yeah, they made crazy rules that, you know, we all abused as 14-year-olds, you know.
Well, I have one question. Can you do that? Can you do all that in the 5th edition, or did they take a lot of stuff out?
I never played the 5th edition.
Huh. Okay.
Quite honestly, the second edition is about as high as I went to.
You guys stopped.
I suppose with the newer the standalone games, it was probably 3rd edition or higher. I don't think it went into 5th edition though, for things like Icewind Dale and stuff like that. I'm not sure what rules systems they used for Baldur's Gate and things like that, but that's about it.
Huh. Okay. I actually do have to play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
what are you bringing up here, John? Let's see.
This book.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I love that book. I still break it out and look at it every once in a while. You know, that book is like the you know, I played that, and it had like Elric of Melniboné, Cthulhu, King Arthur, Greek, Roman, you know, all the myths, and I made a point to read all of the stuff that I could. I got a copy of the Kalevala and I read that, you know, but the only ones that I couldn't read with the Celtic, I found the names to be just a barrier to entry, you know. So that's why I'm appreciating that you're pronouncing these names. Maybe it'll get me back into it.
What does Michael say? RJ, were you lawful stupid or were you actually a good paladin? No, it's probably lawful stupid most of the time.
I always wanted to play a paladin, but my game master, you had to roll the natural 17 charisma or 18 of charisma, and nobody ever did. So I don't think I ever got to play a paladin. So I always played like a good fighter who didn't have all the magic powers that a paladin had.
Well, fighters are pretty fun.
Yeah, fighters are fun.
I actually find, well, let's tie this back into the Arthurian myth.
Yeah.
I always find a lot of the Celtic myth, like you were saying, it's grounded in a very deep, I don't know, say recognition of the earth and kind of like things like that, which is coming back to my playing a ranger in D&D. A lot of these gods, even the mythology for Celtic mythology, they don't speak of them as gods. They speak of them as heroes, and they just have sort of almost quasi godlike power, not even superhero like power, just a lot of strength and ability to do things. So what do you straddle that fine line with Pendragon?
I'd say so. With the characters in the book, everyone's not. I mean, you have people that are like, you know, diabolical and stuff like that, but everyone walks. I'd say like a gray line, but there are some that are, you know, more righteous than others and whatnot. So, sorry. So, take Arthur for instance. He's a pretty noble guy, and he truly cares for his people and the world in general. But you know, he's lived in a time of war, and sometimes he has to do evil. He has to do things that we would consider evil to you know, protect his people. And I say a lot of that conflict wraps into the main character of the book, who, you know, he hasn't lived of the way that King Arthur has, and he hasn't experienced the things that Arthur's seen. So it's going to be like a clash of moralities in a sense.
So I was going to say just quickly, I don't want to interrupt you too much, John, but within my Crown books, it's very interesting. I was going in the opposite direction with the Celtic mythology, because it always stuck in my mind that there's a Celtic myth where they do a battle with dog heads and cat heads, and the Irish heroes say, well, there's no honor in that. They're not really men, so I'm not defeating anybody with honor. So there's no real honor in it, and that's kind of where Crom goes a little bit. He fights monsters every once in a while, but it's like, yeah, it's just something I got to do in order to get across, you know, this bridge or something like that. There's no honor in actually fighting monsters. I want to fight men.
That's actually pretty nice.
I like I said, I'm not super familiar with Celtic mythology as much as I should be, but like the Druids, again, everything comes back to Dungeons and Dragons to me. Like the that's all from Celtic mythology, right? Like, wasn't like the real Merlin supposed to be more Druidic, like nature magic?
Exactly, I think so.
Yeah, see, this is something I really should look into more.
Yeah, there's a lot of sleep magic and things like that, and like playing on flutes to put people to sleep, or shaking branches to put people to sleep, or getting them to eat things that will drive them mad, or put their minds into a different state, or stick them in the place where they are. So yeah, there is a lot of that. Druidic magic is very much tied to earthen things, like, again, branches and fruit and the earth itself, rocks and stuff like that.
So Aaron, what got you interested in like, were you a little kid that just saw a movie one day? What got you interested in King Arthur?
I'm gonna be ashamed to talk about this one.
Okay.
So my very first experience to King Arthur is the Disney cartoon, and now looking back at it, it was a pretty good one, but I don't know.
That's somewhere.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't know. Like huh?
It's a good cartoon. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's okay. I watched it recently. It didn't really age well for me.
Did you watch the John Boorman Excalibur? That's I watched that a million times as a kid. With Helen Mirren as Morgan Le Fay. That's where this story came from. Yeah, this is the replica from that movie.
I'm gonna have to check it out. You said it was a 1980?
Yeah, I think it's like 82, 83. Just if you type in Google John Boorman's Excalibur, you'll see all the cheesy gloriousness, and It's worth watching. Just the Terrence Stamp as Merlin is just outstanding. I could never look at Merlin again without thinking of him. Completely different than the wizened Gandalf look.
I'm definitely got to see that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Brilliant film. I got backup over here from Siege Perilous. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Aaron.
Yeah.
You got any Tolkien-esque influence? Because I don't know if a lot of people find this, but I think that Tolkien was very heavily inspired by Celtic mythology.
Now we're back into my area.
Tolkien.
Yes.
I mean, some aspects of Tolkien, like I appreciate the way that Tolkien kept things grounded in his storytelling. Like everything felt like it was like he was telling things like an old folklore story,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I when you said the Undying Lands, like I didn't realize that is another term for Avalon. And that's what Tolkien called Valinor, where the elves lived.
Oh yeah.
I was making fun just this last little bit. I kept on. I have friends who very much into Tolkien and all the mythology, the Silmarillion, things like that. And I said, no, don't you know the Undying Lands is the North Pole? That's why they went to all the work with Santa.
Yeah, I would have believed you too. I'm just now getting started on the books.
Yeah. I see. Oh, 1981 Excalibur with Liam Neeson's in it, Helen Mirren, Patrick Stewart, Gabriel Byrne. This like it's like the kind of movie like everybody in the background is somebody important.
You had me at Liam Neeson.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
I'll see you for that.
I think Liam Neeson plays Sir Gawain.
Damn. Yeah. I'll have to see.
Which is one of the reasons why I've always liked Sir Gawain.
One of the Knights of the Round Table, I guess, what do you call it? Mythos, but the excess stories. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is one that a lot of people, I think there's a lot more stories about that than most of the other knights. So a lot of people gravitate towards Sir Gawain. Yeah,
he also had that like superhuman strength. He was more like a superhero than the other knights. He had superpowers.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the knights were kind of like that. It's strange, but I see what you mean. It's like he had like the most power or whatever.
Yeah, he was like super, like he reminded me of like Ajax. He was just like this super powerful guy. He had a magic sword too with its own name, Galatane. I don't know. I just something about Gawain, and yes, that's all because of the Sean Connery movie. What was that called? The Green Knight? Was that the name of that movie?
Is that the new one?
No.
Okay.
I think it's even before Excalibur when it cuts the guy's head off.
Right. That's one of the thing about Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. In order to get to the place where he found the Green Knight, he actually went into another world because in some of the stories anyways, he goes through the woods on a trail that no one else can follow. And that's how he basically goes into another world.
It wasn't the Green Knight like the Earl King or something? He was like some magical elf being or something.
He was someone that was cursed, I think.
Because he cuts off his head numerous times and he puts it back on.
Yeah. And here you go. Similar to Prince Valiant, Incubus Time Lord brings up. Prince Valiant's not part of the Arthurian legends, right? That was made up for the strips, for the newspapers. I'm asking because I don't know. Does anybody? Bueller?
I'm not familiar with Prince Valiant.
That one I do not know, quite honestly.
Okay.
Oops. Incubus also says Sir Gawain and the Green Knight with Michael O'Keefe.
Yep, that's the one. And Sean Connery as the Green Knight, right?
That's the one I'm thinking of. I was confusing that with Excalibur. That's what I'm thinking of, actually.
Yeah, they around the same time. Yep, Galatine is the name of Sir Gawain's sword. Yep, I don't know why. I know stupid facts like that, but I don't remember when the mortgage is due.
I gotta figure out what that sword does.
I always had a thing for like magical name swords, So when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, like you get a magical sword, the first thing you do is come up with a cool name for it. I used to hate when the DM gave me a name with the sword. No, I'm naming my sword. The movie was called The Sword of the Valiant.
Okay.
That's
That's one of the
nice.
things too I like about Irish mythology. There's a lot more, like you said, Aaron, at the first. There's a lot more mythological items as well, which is very D&D esque. So you
Right.
get rings and you get swords and you get spears that can burn a hole through the earth and all this kind of stuff.
That's in Norse mythology. One of the things that I always liked was Odin had this ring. He would take the ring off and put it on his bedstand, and every morning he would wake up, there'd be 9 rings.
Oh
And he
yeah.
would put one on, so he always had excess gold in his pocket, or give rings out to other people. And I always wondered that Tolkien had to have done something with that, because the 9 rings, and then he had the 9 rings that went to the ring wraiths.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah. Tolkien. He used a lot of references in such subtle ways you don't realize it until afterwards. Like the elves had the 3 rings, and I always wondered, was that like the past, the present, the future, and the Norns and the Fates, or the Moire? Is that how you say that in Greek?
Morai, yeah.
Yeah, like that's like, as much as you read Tolkien, you read it, and then like you reread it again, you pick up something else, you pick up something. That's why, another tangent, I get so mad when I see people changing Tolkien's work. It's like, this guy's a master, and you guys are a committee, and you're changing Tolkien's work. I get furious.
No, I understand that.
Yep.
It's like author interpretation. They don't like it for some reason.
Yeah, it's right by
No way.
committee. Make it for a modern audience.
Shoot. I mean, the modern audience doesn't really understand the work to begin with. Like,
Right. The DM giving John.
So, quick question then, for you, Aaron. So your story is going to carry on, like you said, partly in, is it present day? It says 1,000 years. Where does it say?
Well,
I'm
yeah, I
not sure.
wanted to ask that. Yes.
oh yeah. So it's like I'd say it's like more. I'd say it's like close to 1,000 years. I was just trying to get the wording right for that. But yeah, it's just like near modern times, and pretty much Excalibur's. I mean, Arthur Pendragon's not there, but I wanted to play on the whole Merlin, or Mervin and his prophecies. And there's this one prophecy that he had way before he ever came to Britain, where it prophesies the return of the Tuatha De Danann's mortal enemies. And I'm not going to reveal who they are, but they're in this story they're fated to return. And since King Arthur isn't here, who is, you know the sayings like the ones in Future King, who's supposed to return. And,
So this is
unite
this
Britain.
Arthur returning in modern times.
Yeah, in a way.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's what, because I mean, Arthur did go to the Undying Lands as well, which again is Celtic mythology, and he was supposed to return in the hour of greatest need for basically England.
Yeah, England has a lot of those. Like King Arthur's going to return. What's the Black Prince? He's another one who's supposed to return.
The Black Prince.
Yeah, I he's an actual historical person. I forget who it was, but he was supposed to be the. Do you know what I'm talking about, RJ?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, why can't he was one of.
I know the
was,
Black Knight.
The next line in society, they called him the Black Prince because he wore black, and I think nobody. Edward, there we go. Siege Peril's got my back. Edward the Black Prince. He's another one who's supposed to return in England's greatest need. So,
what's he supposed to do?
I don't know. I fix their healthcare system. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, we're in dire need of that.
Yeah. Hey, don't be nervous. We're not bad. We're not bad, guys. Yeah, So there's a comic called Camelot 3000. Have you Camelot 3000?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's King Arthur returns in the year 3000. And stops an alien invasion.
That's metal.
Yeah,
I like
it
that.
is pretty good. I don't want to spoil the ending, but I always like the ending to Camelot 3000.
I always was attracted to the art of Camelot 3000, but then I would read it and it just stuck in my craw the wrong way because honestly, the historical presentation of King Arthur in that was not to my liking. We'll put it that way. He was
That was
much more
yeah,
an English character than a Celtic character.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a comic book version of King Arthur, not historical. You know, that was Michael Barr took a lot of liberties. He was writing Batman at the time. He definitely turned it into a DC comic book. And I remember Michael Bolton was taking forever between each issue, so they actually lied to him and told him that oh, we just want to look at the art, and they had another person ink it, and Bolton was pissed when he finally saw the finished product.
So, quick question. We're going to wrap things up around the 1 hour mark like we usually do here, Aaron. But I want to ask you about the art one more time because we're looking at this beautiful art in the background. Do you, as someone who is doing multiple books with Wolfbane's comics, do you have a lot of different artists that you work with, or you just have one or two select artists?
Oh, well, the way I work is pretty much I try to find an artist that fits that particular project. So right now I only have like 2 artists I'm working, well, 2 to 3 artists I'm working with. But in the future, we could get a few more. I try not to have all my books looking the same.
And I was going to say, because you're as you said, you're going for more of a French bande dessinée style here with the coloring and things like that instead of American comics, right?
Oh yeah, I'd say I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with the bande dessinée.
Yeah,
is that how you pronounce it? I'm not too familiar with that fate that word. But I did try to model after some of the European comics that I saw.
Yeah, some of the European comics, of course, they push boundaries a lot more. We'll just say with skin and things like that than you'll ever get in most mainstream comics
I know
for
exactly
American
what you
comics.
mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wanted this book to be like for mature audiences, but something that like a young adolescent, probably like 17 or something, could pick up. So I don't want to have any of that showing, or if I were to do it, I'd do it like subtle, like have like a towel in the middle of the scene or something.
Okay.
There's a very good, I just thought I was going to bring this up before, but there's a very good book series, I think written early to late 60s. It might be early 60s, late 50s, maybe. It's called The Crystal Cave. I can't remember who wrote it off the top of my head, but it's basically Arthurian myth retold without any magic. So they have a lot of Merlin does a lot. He's basically he disguises himself with disguises, and he uses some sort of natural rock formations to make it look like he's doing magic, things like that. That's a really good resource if you ever want something to read. It's a novel series with Arthurian myth.
Oh, and what was the name of that book you said, the collection of Celtic myths?
The one that I am most familiar with is Lady Gregory's Celtic mythology. So basically, it's about 5 different books that she wrote, all rammed into one.
Okay. Yeah, I got to write that down. And of course, my pen don't.
I'm looking at it now. And do you mind if I answer that one question down there? What is it?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, with Vaz. So
okay.
Pendragon, I'd say it's not set in England. It's part of the entire series is set at like the first part of the series, I'd say like the first arc is set halfway in Otherworld and halfway in a fictional I'd say Pennsylvania, America.
Okay.
All right, very good. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. The links are in the description for the Indiegogo page and for the sign up page, which we're looking at right now, which is a MailChimp page. And the MailChimp one has links to the other ones, the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo. And I think, as I said, you have it on Fund, or you're going to have it on Fund My Comic as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm trying to have it on all 3 platforms.
Cool.
Okay, great. I'm
And
glad
you don't
Fund
have
My
to
Comic
really
is getting
do
as
that.
much business as it is. You're planning to do yours on Fund My Comic too, aren't you, John?
Yeah, I want to go exclusive on Fund My Comic, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, links for those are in the description. John's links will be in the description when he gets those things up and going.
Yep.
Links for Crom the Destroyer and the Valiant Heroes, my books, are in the description as well for anyone. And I just want to thank John for being here and Aaron for showing us his beautiful book and talking about the
The art
story.
is outstanding.
Thank you so much. It was nice to be on the show.
Oh, sure.
Honestly, a huge fan of the channel.
Well, thank you very much. I've done this for a long time. Like for the very first of my channel, I tried to promote indie comics and I really got in a lot of trouble with it for people who didn't want me talking about their books. So I stopped for a long time. But I think now that I have John here to I'm in his good graces. So, John has helped me out with trying to talk to indie creators and a lot of different people. So I want to thank John once again. And Aaron, I want to thank you for being here. And if you don't mind, I am going to just do my normal outro, which is the trailer for Crom the Destroyer, my return to form for low fantasy book. So I want to thank everyone else for coming here in the chat, and I will see you all later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
An age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.